Good morning. Welcome to SEC Baseball Power Rankings here at Southeastern 16. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Graham Doty. We're joined by babies, dogs, and you. And maybe Jay Greason at some point. He said he's coming, but it's going to be late. It's been that kind of morning. Hey, Power Rankings are a scramble. And Graham, Power Rankings are especially a scramble when you have no idea what to do with particular teams. I think like late in the season, aren't we supposed to be getting clarity? And we're getting anything but that. Like even down to Missouri, which nobody expected.
Yeah, total opposite this Monday for power rankings. I mean, I won't lie. I even struggled with who's 14, 15, 16 this week.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you how not to struggle. When you're getting exercise and you need something to aid in recovery, what you need is Chair Bundy. Help those who help our program and also help yourself, because if you like to jog like I do, their 100% pure tart cherry juice is terrific with that. It's got antioxidants. It's got stuff you need to recover from your exercise. You can take the travel pouches with you. They're the concentrated version. I'll be taking those to Hoover. You can take the gummies. And if you want your gummies to sleep, they got those with melatonin. They got a whole array of great stuff used by all kinds of pro and college teams. Cheribundy.com. That is CHERIBUNDI.com. Use promo code SC20. Get 20% off your entire order. Help those who help us. All right, Graham, we always start at number 16. Never in a million years that I think this was going to be a debate, because like you said, we actually had some stuff to sort out at the bottom. How did we go? Did we go what just happened? Did we go bulk of the season? Did we go win? Well, we went with you swept A&M Missouri, but you still got a lot of ground to make up. But, hey, 16 hits a lot differently this week for the Tigers.
Yeah, it does. Just congratulations to them, never quitting, actually playing hard. And you could tell that they really had a lot of fun over the weekend. And depending on how they close, they get Mississippi State at home. If they win a game or two here or there, they could bump up from the 16 spot.
Yeah. All right. I disagree with this. And by the way, the voting poll this week was the two of us and Jay Greason. Alfred was not able to participate just because he's been moving and been swamped. So I'm interested. I think his votes probably would have changed some stuff. But we settled on A&M at 15. I disagree with that. I mean, South Carolina somehow just got clocked by Auburn and moved up a spot, which I guess that's what happens when you get swept at home by Missouri. I think that was a little harsh and undue, but it is where we went.
Yeah, MJ, like let me see where but like full disclosure, I was sitting in the doctor's office doing all this morning. So yeah, I put him 15 too. So
yeah.
Has any team gone from number 1 to number 15 in the history of power rankings? Because if so, congratulations, Texas A&M.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is as a bunch, this is our first power rankings for a year, a complete year. But yes, I mean, that says it all. Goodness gracious. Just when you think you figured some stuff out, that happens.
Yeah.
South Carolina gets swept and moves up a spot, which tells you how bad A&M was.
Yeah, it's just who A&M lost to and where. Like just to give a team their first 3 conference wins and you lose all 3 at home. But yeah, only South Carolina can it not go well, especially game 1, and you bump up a spot in the power rankings.
I think the next 3 are interchangeable. I'm not sure. Yeah, I didn't go in the order that we settled. Mississippi State is 13, but it's a strong 13 suddenly.
Yeah, they are getting hot at the right time. And again, this is why Zach Selman made the change when he did, because the schedule is always easier on the backside for Mississippi State. So, who knows? Maybe they just get insanely hot and, can make it to a regional or super regional. Michael, yes, you hear.
Yeah, we're
baby.
Multitasking today.
Yes.
And we'll hear from Oreo in a bit, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, congrats to Mississippi State. By the way, for the record, season series with Ole Miss tied at 2 because of that neutral site game. But State needed a series win. It got it, and now it gets a Missouri team this weekend that is tougher than thought. I still think State's a good team, and maybe capable of winning a regional in the right spot. We'll see where that goes. They got to get there first.
12
Oklahoma. Still think this is a good team. Struggled this weekend with Kentucky, and this is what you do, and this is what we do, and it's basically the same thing kind of situation. Hey, look who's here. Jay Greason's here.
How's everybody doing?
Just in time for Oklahoma at 12. Do you have any thoughts on Oklahoma at 12?
Well, I mean, if I'm just in time for Oklahoma, I wish I'd have gotten here sooner.
Yeah, exactly.
Starting the day off hot. Way to go, Jay.
Oh, man. Coming in hot. Rolling hot. Traffic hot. I think Oklahoma is in a big team picture in this league. I think there are 3 teams that are unbelievably well built. And then I think there are a slew of teams that have super high ceilings, but also could be a regional victim depending on draw, because if they don't get a good start from Kyson, they're fighting uphill.
I think they are the classic high floor, lower ceiling compared to the teams ahead. But I think Kyson Witherspoon alone probably gets you to a championship game of a regional, and then you see what happens with Crossland Crossland will have pitched before championship game, but you get what I'm saying.
They need answers offensively, guys. Like that's what's keeping Oklahoma from peaking at the right time at this point of the season. So if they get just a little bit of offense, they can be dangerous.
Yeah. One of the things though that really hurts Oklahoma, and I know we're about to skip over to Vandy, but it looks like they're destined for a 2, which then means you have to, depending on the matchup with the 3, you're going to have to wrestle. Do you pitch Kyson in the 2-3? Because if you get the 1, you're probably going to get an auto qualifier, which allows you to throw a staff game, and then you've got Kyson in the finals of the winner's bracket.
Yeah, I'm with you a lot. I mean, I think putting your best guy in the 2 slot is a low-key underrated move. A lot of coaches don't do it. They feel like there's some messaging involved with that, and I get it, but I don't know what Skip Johnson's done. Obviously, Oklahoma, first year in the SEC, so we're just getting familiar with you guys and how Skip runs his program, but I think that would be interesting. I threw Kentucky out 11 prematurely. Oklahoma ran into I don't know if it was the best version of Kentucky, but it was at least the B-plus version of the Wildcats this weekend, which I feel like Kentucky's been playing a lot of C-plus to B-plus baseball this year pretty consistently. Never been an F, never maybe been an A-plus, but like Oklahoma, pretty good floor. Ceiling, we'll see. I mean, you got Ben Cleaver in a game 3, guys, back to your situation where pitching setup matters. If Kentucky can get through 2, I mean, Cleaver in a title game is better than what 95% of the teams are going to throw out there in that spot, I think.
Or the loser's bracket final.
Yeah. Yes, either one. Yeah. Gonna be super interesting to see how some of this sorts out when we get out of the SEC. And you start playing other teams. Let's see.
I'm impressed with Kentucky, by the way. Like, you have to give them a ton of credit. Like, they got swept at Mississippi State. It wasn't really all that competitive. And then to do what they did against Oklahoma, like that says a lot about Mingione and just his program and how tough they are mentally.
They've not really gotten clocked in a league series all year since Georgia and Athens. And even then, they won a game 10-7. The other 2 were a little lopsided. But that happens with Georgia. I mean, I'm looking like – and I still go back to that Texas series where Texas was on a heater of heaters, and they lost a 3-run game, a 1-run game, and won a 1-run game. I mean, that's just kind of been how it's gone with them. A lot of 1-run losses.
In the Ole Miss series, too, again, like the whole weekend, Ole Miss had the lead 2 innings, and they won the series. So It's
They
just
did something similar to Auburn too, didn't they, Graham?
Yeah, pretty similar. And Wes says he was surprised at how many balls Kentucky hit out of the ballpark. He wasn't expecting that. So that's not really their calling card. They don't really hit a lot of home runs, but that ballpark isn't the biggest. So, I mean, if you put a charge in one, it will leave that ballpark in Lexington.
Yeah. Weather's getting warmer. I think you're going to see some of that a lot of places. Okay. A lot of folks in the chat. Michael, Reese, Nick. Nick was with us last. Wes is a regular here. Tokidoki, he's been a regular here. Bob Williams, Auburn guy. Hadn't seen Bob for baseball. Good to see you, Bob. Mike Rose, Kentucky guy. Hadn't seen him. Caleb's always here. Good
Are you
LSU
done calling
fan.
the roll, Mr. Lee?
Probably not, but I'm going to be.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the wake-up call there. Back to earth, Chris. Number 10, Florida. My goodness. That just tells you everything about this league when Florida's the number 10 team in the league.
I mean, this is one, like, obviously everybody knows how hot they are, but I struggled with where to put them because you got, like, Alabama, Tennessee, like Ole Miss ahead of them. They all have better records than Florida, and Ole Miss has the head-to-head over the Gators, but like you can't deny what Florida has been doing here recently. Like we touched on it last night. Like they're finally healthy at the right time. And for whatever reason, this is 2 or 3 years in a row now where they have just started slow. And then Kevin O'Sullivan, it just seems like he literally hits a button and then they just get hot at the right time. Again, they were 1-11 in SEC play. Then they get healthy. Now they got helped out with the schedule some. Like they had Mississippi State, they had Missouri in that stretch. So it's just a combination of everything for the Gators. Like they get healthy and then the schedule kind of backed off a little bit. And then here they go getting ready to, play well at the right time.
I also think this is a team that's going to be a noticeable exception when they all go to Hoover. I think Kevin O'Sullivan's crew is going to be as motivated as anybody, with a whole lot of things in the air, be it playing to be a host, being it for any number of things. And now that you've got most of your staff healthy, they've got the pitching to play several consecutive days.
Okay, some picks in this are sort of by default. In other words, it's like, okay, we got the tier at the bottom, we got the tier middle bottom, we got the top tier, and then we got the middle, and teams just kind of slot themselves. And I feel like that's kind of what Ole Miss is, right? Squarely in the middle, really good team, capable of hosting a regional, still could. But they just kind of slotted right in the middle here. I am encouraged with some things we've seen from their pitching lately, Graham. We've talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, and like the other day, like Riley Maddox, who's been a really, really good number 2. Like I thought he was pretty good in game 2 against Mississippi State, and then the offense that's where I think Ole Miss scored like 1 run super late. That's the game that Sierra had 15 strikeouts. But yeah, like right now, Ole Miss just didn't play very well. Again, we're kind of in the dog days, and we're seeing that with some teams around the league, like Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas, and right now this is just happening with Ole Miss. They're 1 game above 500 in league play. It is important to remember this was a team picked second to last in the SEC by the coaches and the media. So Ole Miss fans got super happy and excited with the start. You remember not that long ago, they were the number 6 team in the country. So you can't really move the goalpost, I guess is what I'm saying. This team got off to a good start, took advantage of opportunities, beat Clemson, a couple other teams in that tournament in Texas. And then, right now Ole Miss just isn't playing well. And I think it starts with the offense and Be curious to see if they shake things up. Like, does somebody like Colin Reuter get more opportunities in the lineup? And then does Ole Miss shake things up with their rotation? Like, what do you do with Mason Morris? I feel like we always talk about that, but if Ole Miss is going to shake it up, like, you don't have a lot of more time left. You got 3 games left before Hoover.
Graham, I'm curious about how much do you think, whether it's dog days or just the rest of the league, realizing that you have to throw strikes to Ole Miss. You cannot let them get on base and set up 3-run homers with free passes, because that's a team that's hitting a little over 280, but their on base is still over 400.
Yeah, that's fair. So, like, if you haven't really watched Ole Miss play, like, they're either 1 or 2 in walks, 1 or 2 in strikeouts, and then they're top 5 in the country in home runs. They just don't hit a lot of singles. They don't manufacture runs. So, Jay, there's just been a handful of games this season, and it's like, I don't understand the approach. Like, we saw that in the South Carolina series. That's when Stone had the complete game victory for South Carolina, and he threw 80 pitches or whatever it was. And then it's like Sierry's not a power pitcher for Mississippi State, and all he was doing was locating. His fastball was in the low 90s, and he had 15 strikeouts because Ole Miss was going up there swinging at the first couple of pitches or two. So I don't know. I don't know if that's something that Ole Miss wants to look at moving forward. But so here lately, sometimes the approach, it's just like, again, Mike Clement is the hitting coach. He's forgotten more baseball than I ever will know. So I just don't really understand the scouting report and just the approach at certain points.
Sorry, had it on mute. But we're on scramble mode today, aren't we?
My computer's about to
Mondays. Oh, that's not good. And I think we went late in the night last night with live streams. So Sam is here, not exactly excited. By the way, Nick, thank you for your gift of memberships. That's really kind of you. We've had several people that have given those out. They go to people at random. You can't control who they go to. But anyway, thank you for your generosity here to you and others. Justin Holland, I don't know if Justin's in here right now, but Justin's a guy that's been giving out a lot of those, and some others too. I know I've missed some. Okay, guys, this team next, Alabama at 8. I'm telling you, look out. There may be something coming for Alabama. I think that Alabama-Florida series this weekend in Gainesville is going to be something, because I think you got 2 teams with 2 starters who are pitching really well, able to go deep into games. Justin LeBron very quietly hit his first 2 home runs since when? Early April? Whenever it's been, maybe March. I don't know. Point I'm getting at is I think stuff's coming together for Alabama at the right time. And this too, guys, sometimes it was your toughness. Like, Alabama was that close to taking the series from Vanderbilt to Nashville 2 weekends ago. And frankly, if you replay that last game over again, 99 times out of 100, that probably goes Alabama's way. But it didn't. Alabama then wins the midweek, gets clocked by Georgia on Friday night, and then wins game 2 and 3 against a really good hitting lineup. And I know Georgia was on the road, but our man Jay Greason pointed out that ballpark, the dimensions played pretty well to Georgia's right-handed power. Alabama has gotten through all that and come out, I think, healthier, in some parts of the team peaking at the right time. And look out. It's hard to make predictions, okay, because you make a prediction for one team and you're running up against another good team like Alabama does with Florida. But I'm just telling you, keep this on your radar. If Alabama makes a splash soon and it's bigger than anybody thought, there are reasons that we could have seen it coming in hindsight if we get there.
Chris, Wes asked about, does Alabama have the pitching to make a legit run? Will you tell him, like, what you've been reading and hearing just about some of their starters and what they project as?
Well, look, this is a year where there are so many teams that are top-heavy with pitching, okay? Number one, you got a Kate Anderson, you got a Liam Doyle, you got all kinds of – you got a Kyson Witherspoon, you got J.D. Thompson. I mean, you got a lot of Hunter Elliott, a lot of great to really good number ones, okay? And you got Riley Quick, who's pitching out of the 2 spot for them. So he's not a 1. He's not going to be in that spotlight. And Riley Quick also, I don't think threw a pitch last year because he's been hurt. But Riley Quick has always had elite talent. You have seen him in some first-round mocks. And it's not just talent. It's that he's going deeper into games and he's pitching effectively. Zane Adams, I don't know that he's quite in that conversation with Quick, but he's really good. I think he could be a major league starter. No, maybe not a 1, 2, or 3. Might be back into the rotation, but still, that's elite company. There aren't that many of those in the world. Carson Osmer's been really good at the back end. I think their bullpen outside of him pitched better this weekend. I think you've seen some stuff from Tyler Fay as an opener. I don't know that I'm totally believing it, but, like, you reverse the order of their starting rotation, guys. All of a sudden, Quick as a 1 matches up okay with some other people's 1s. Zane Adams is a bona fide 2 in this league. And then it's like, okay, Tyler Fay's our 3. A lot of teams are using an opener in that spot. It looks differently if you reorder it. And if the bullpen's pitching well, which, again, I've seen some signs here. Mm-hmm. Braylon Myers is a guy we don't talk much about, but he's a dude in their bullpen too. Yeah, I think it's possible on the right weekend that they've got it to go to a super and maybe to Omaha if they're lucky. Or I shouldn't say if they're lucky. We'll take the Alabama being lucky.
Graham,
but yeah,
who echoed the question. As much as any team in the league, they've kind of got the old school Yankees method where they short it to a 7-inning game because they got Myers in the 8th and Osmer in the 9th.
Yeah. Zachary Cox asked, what does Bama have to do to host? Here are the 2 scenarios. So they're in Gainesville this weekend. Let's if they win 2, if they take 2 out of 3, I think they're hosting. If they win 1, I think they could win 1, and then they would have to win at least 1 in Hoover, and then I think they would host because that would give them 17 wins, like 17 SEC wins. And I just think in this conference, if you have an SEC team with 17 conference wins, like I'd be stunned if they're not hosting.
Their resume is super similar to Vanderbilt's. They're 19, and by the way, we're going to go over this tomorrow morning in detail because I'm going to need several hours to reset from the weekend and unpack it again. But 19-12 in quad 1 and 2. I mean, that is absolutely a hosting resume. 8 in the RPI. That's it. 18th strength of schedule. 5 non-conference RPI. The schedule out of the league wasn't great, 164. But 1 loss in quad 3 and 4. That was a quad 4, which a lot of teams have. I mean, Alabama doesn't give you a lot of bad to sink your teeth into. And I think that helps. I mean, we'll go through it tomorrow. But right now, I'll tell you, if I'm not discriminating based on the league, which we kind of, when people do bracketology, they kind of build that in. The SEC is not going to get 6 national seeds or whatever because it's the SEC. And they might be right. But I'm telling you, if you just go by the numbers, Alabama's absolutely in that conversation.
Yeah.
Well, don't we think the SEC is going to get 9 regional hosts? 9 out of 16 is where I'd set the over-under.
I'd probably go 8, but you might be right.
Hey, if we saw anything last night, we've never seen dominance the way softball littered a bracket last night. That was 7 of the top 8 national seeds.
And 14 made it the most of any conference.
The highest percentage of any conference in the history of sports.
Yeah.
Because remember, there's only 15 softball teams. So that's better than what they did in basketball.
Yeah. I just think we just need to give some love to the state of Alabama baseball-wise. Like, they're both really good. They're both going to make the tournament, and they just don't get a lot of media coverage. Obviously,
because somebody might be throwing a spiral somewhere.
Yeah, I'm football's king, and like I know, like the next round gets asked about it, and they're just like, look, it's just their numbers back it up. Like they just and especially with what those 2 basketball programs have done now, it's just like all the eyeballs and attention are football and men's basketball. But don't let that take away from the fact that these are two really, really good head coaches and programs, like great stadiums, all that stuff. Yeah. And Troy. Yeah.
And I'll go you a step further, and you've heard this since the day Ron Polk came back to Starkville. He was befuddled that Georgia couldn't be better in his time there, but when they had the lottery scholarship, which allows you to augment back at a time before NIL, and baseball was dealing with less than 12 scholarships. You could augment in-state kids who qualified for the Hope. Alabama doesn't have the Hope.
Yeah, Mississippi's in that same boat.
You know, we've talked a lot about Butch Thompson being kind of a sleeper coach of the year candidate. And here's always how we do coach of the year, right? And it's why I hate giving coach of the year awards, because how in the world do you determine it? Sometimes it's given to the guy who was really crappy the year before with his team and underachieved and set the bar so low that when he accomplished something the next year, it looked better than it probably was. But hey, let's go back to where Rob Vaughn took over 2 years ago. You remember the kind of mess that was?
Scandal.
Yeah, I mean, and let me tell you, I don't know this for a fact. And with the transfer portal, it's different now, okay? But if I'm in a locker room where my coach is basically, I don't know if thrown games is the right way to put it, but whatever happened, that violated a lot of people's trust. Right? I mean, when your coach does that to you, that's going to leave you some scars. So Rob Vaughn had to pick up from there and take that program. He had to do it at a place where, like you said, baseball is an afterthought. And look where they are. You could justify them right now as a top 8 seed nationally. And if you look at it from where he took over 2 years ago, I don't know if Rob Vaughn's the SEC coach of the year. Probably not, because some of the other guys. But I think if you don't at least have the conversation and unpack it, you've done him an injustice.
Yeah. And he's 37 years old. So,
yeah,
what a bright future he's got.
Yeah, and we talked to him off season. Super impressive. It is easy to see how he has the success that he does. Okay, let's get to 7, Tennessee. I don't know who knows what to do with the Vols right now. I mean, I think this is still a little bit of a upside play here, because I think you could put them at 8 or 9. But look, Tennessee is one great weekend away from looking as good as anybody else.
They're whichever team walks out of the dugout. I mean, that's a team that walks off the bus and you go, well, buckle up. But in some ways, though, all right, in Rocky 3, when Drago started, or Rocky 4, and you saw Drago's blood for the first time, I feel like the rest of this league has now seen Tennessee bleed a little bit. And they are more than happy to line up and take some swings the way Tony V and the boys have run roughshod over everybody the last couple of years and been happy to tell everybody about it.
Yeah, that's such a great comparison. That's why Jay makes the big bucks. I guess it's like when Tiger Woods, when he was just crushing everybody, and then, when he went back out there after a while, he just wasn't the same Tiger Woods. Tennessee can very much get back to that point, but I just think right now, like, Tennessee, they just need to play baseball. Like, just play baseball. Like, I feel like this group this season, they just try to amp themselves up and just try to be something that they're not. Like, just go out there. You got all the talent. Just take care of business on the field.
Worse, Graham, than trying to be something they're not. I feel like they're trying to be something they were. And this is not the 2024 lineup that had Christian Moore and had a handful of guys that are going to be in your fantasy baseball draft next spring. And if you're going to go by the Tiger Woods analogy, what was the Y.E. Yang moment for these Tennessee Vols? Was it Kentucky going into Knoxville and taking 2 or 3? What was the moment where everybody went, holy buckets? Tiger didn't win a major he led after 54 holes.
I think it was A&M. Don't y'all think that
doubleheader? That is exactly what it is, and I can't believe I didn't come up with that on the out of the gate. You're 100% right. After just putting a foot stomp on them in game 1, and then
they got no hit.
Yeah,
they no hit them,
and like no hit, run ruled, and then totally different ever since that moment.
Yeah.
I don't like everybody sees their talent. I'll say this though, their defense, like you are what you are. I mean, we got enough games in. Like they're just not good on defense, and they give up 1 million stolen bases. So
when I get better at this computer stuff, I'm gonna have like some quick keys because the Dennis Green quote: "They are who we thought we are. We let them off the hook." I mean that is such a coach truthism that. God bless you, Dennis Green. Even if you do look like Gary Coleman didn't have growing troubles in his youth. But hey.
Had what?
That's what Dennis Green looks like. A big, grown-up, big-sized Gary Coleman. What are you talking about, Willis?
Took him a minute. He got there, Jay.
Sorry, I was distracted. That's wow. I don't know if that's inaccurate, but yeah. That takes me back a few years. Okay, moving on.
All right, hey, before we move on real quick on Tennessee, because you betting right now, yay or nay? Are they in Omaha?
Nay. I'll tell you this. I'm going to be really blunt. Your direction comes from the top, and you're getting bad direction from your head coach right now. I think he's distracted. Man, I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, there was some stuff in the members only last night.
Yeah, and we learned their rotation. Like he's probably going to shake up the rotation. I went and like when we finished, I watched his post-game press conference, and he flat out said Saturday has been unacceptable. We have to get better.
They've just got to get back to playing baseball. Didn't take a genius
to read between the lines.
Yeah, they've got. I think they get too distracted with the show. I really do. That's just me. I'm not in the dugout, but I don't know. You know, they ran into a team this week, and then we'll get to in a minute that kept its cool through most of that. And I really think that was the difference in the series.
The guy with his hands on that wheel.
Yes,
that dugout is forever consistent, forever stable. There is an expectation of a standard, and that guy knows what he's doing, bro.
Yeah.
There are a few of them in this league.
We'll get to him in a minute. Georgia, I think 6 by default. You could argue Georgia several spots higher, and I couldn't argue with you. I just can't go there because again, I'm always going to go. If I have to lean one way, and you look at everything, I'm always going to go with the teams that can stop you first, pitching and defense. Georgia's not awful in that area, but Georgia is also not what any of the 5 teams in front of Georgia are either. And I think that's how we settled where we did with the Bulldogs, who I think are still number 1 in the RPI, which, my goodness, we're week 13. And again, that is this league.
Well, and to that point, what is this league is they're 6th in our power rankings. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but they're also a top 8 seed. If they were picking this thing this afternoon, the metrics point Georgia as a top 8 national seed.
100%.
And what helps them, like they are extremely difficult to beat in Athens, and their road to Omaha goes through Athens this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're going to get 2 weekends in Athens, barring a collapse. And, oh, man. Who's the team that you would most want to play this weekend, guys?
A&M.
In the SEC. And that's who they've got. And
well, no, the answer is always Missouri because the talent gap is still there. No,
well, it wasn't last weekend, but yes.
Well, A&M went full-blown Nuke LaLoosh. I mean, they got $1 million talent, but they got a 5-cent head. So, or a 5-cent head coach, depending on who you ask.
Oh,
see what
man.
I did there, Graham? See what I did?
Yeah.
The crazy thing here, and looping back to, I love the way you described, Chris, Oklahoma, about high flow, low ceiling. Georgia's a bell curve. They got like 2 layers of basement and a penthouse in the same building. So Georgia, bad Georgia is good Georgia. Book your plane tickets to Lincoln and drive over.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you, do you think Rylan is healthy? Like, how does he look to you? He just hadn't been the same since that ankle.
Well, the ankle and the book gets out on these guys, man.
Yeah.
I mean, going into last month, and we know there are little cliques of coaches who talk to each other. Hey, how'd you have success against Rylan? Okay, we did this, this, and this. Okay. So now he's seeing this, this, and this over and over again.
Yeah, I did not get eyes on them this weekend because their series, like Friday was over in a flash, and there were other good games on, and then Saturday started and stopped, and they got rescheduled. I mean, their scheduling was all over the place, and there was other good baseball on to watch. I didn't get eyes on him, but yeah, I mean, he got hit in the ankle with the ball, I think, in the Vanderbilt series. And I don't know that he's been the same ever since either.
Yeah. I think he missed, I think it was 2 games. And then, he's been back. But, like, I mean, he was pretty consistently, like, a candidate for SEC Player of the Week. I mean, he was awesome.
I can remember a month or 6 weeks ago, Graham, you and I defended Alfred brought up, well, he's no Charlie Condon. But he was delivering at a Charlie Condon type of level. Mm-hmm. And since it's been more Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
Hey, great question here from Russell. And it says, someone please list who are the teams to look out for that are not in the SEC, please. Russell, tune in tomorrow because Chris will break down everybody. You'll get more and more. You'll be better prepared for bracketology than Jerry Palm is on Selection Sunday. Do you think Jerry Palm's brother's name is Harry Palm?
God, for him, I hope not. All right, get it together, Chris. Yeah, I mean, I'll parse that a little bit. I'll have the bracket stuff together tomorrow. I'm starting to do some of the research on the other teams and, like, really know what the nuts and bolts are a little bit. I'm not there yet. Now, I'll tell you, Florida's got Jamie Arnold as a 1. If you're looking for a mid-major with some good weekend pitching, that's Coastal Carolina. Looked into them a little bit, and I'll get there. I'm going to need a little bit more time. So tomorrow will be a little bit more about the numbers, and then we'll get into, as we get closer to the NCAA tournament, how it's put together for each team. So we want to clarify to set expectations for tomorrow. Where are we? Okay, Roger, new member. Thank you. Toby, new member. Thank you guys both. Yeah. Let's see, where are we now? We are I know what I was going to say. I lose my train of thought because this man on the far end of the
Harry
screen
Palms.
is always just throwing me curveballs, and I'm 2 pitches behind before my head catches up. We played the little reshape the rotation game with Alabama. Let's try this for Georgia, okay? I don't know that Brian Curley and Leighton Finley are a 1-2 that's like top half of the league, but they're good enough to make Georgia in the ballpark with its hitting. So just watch for that. We've kind of done this. Okay, Georgia can't win outside of Athens, which is not entirely true. But you get, I mean, baseball is 3-game series, right? That's what you get. And you get in Omaha, you give them Curley and Finley. I mean, that's a 1-2 that can compete. So I'm just saying, if I'm wrong about Georgia and we've been a little too hard on them, I think that is your path.
Real quick, I meant to say this last night. I'll say it here. It is about Georgia. So for the first time since Mississippi State fired their head coach, Wes Johnson was asked about the Mississippi State job. Did you guys see this?
I
He
did
got
not.
Yeah.
the media asked him like he was in the dugout. They asked him like, I'll give him credit, like asked him to his face. And I mean, those situations, that's so tough for a head coach. I mean, like what's he gonna be like? He's like, yep, I'm going to Mississippi State. Like, can't wait to get it. So I just saw that made headlines everywhere, and it's just like, look, guys, that's a no-win situation for Wes Johnson. Like, he gets asked about it, whatever he says, one way or the other, it's just going to create controversy.
Hey, it is a no-win situation for the coach, but these guys now make millions, and having been a guy who asked these questions for 25 years, you got to ask the question, even if you know the guy's going to lie to you. I mean, because the only answer is, well, I'm worried about the team I have now, and I'm focused on Athens, and I love Athens, and that's your answer. Of course it is. But you have to ask the question, because if you don't ask the question, you're not doing your job.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Number 5, Vanderbilt. Really playing well at the right time.
Highest floor in the league.
I could buy it. I could buy it. Corbin
trusts as many pitchers as anybody in the league. As any team in the league, he's happy to roll through a bullpen and give some guy named Levi Huseman meaningful innings. And I say that because Levi Huseman is the son of Russ Huseman, who is the football coach at Richmond, who was the coach here in Chattanooga for a handful of years. So I can remember watching Levi pitch up here at Signal Mountain Town Hall and just gassing everybody when he was like 9.
Wow. Chris, how healthy is Sawyer?
Healthy enough that he threw 2 innings on Saturday, and healthy enough that they had him warming up, and made a mound visit to Ethan McIlvaine to close the game, and had a conversation, to which I guess Ethan McIlvaine said, let me keep the ball, and that ended up being the right decision. But guys, speaking of pieces falling in places here, okay? And I'm going to give you some names of guys we have not talked about on the show much. And this is in no particular order. I think Riley Nelson, their first baseman, might be the most underappreciated player in the league. He's been really consistent for them. If there's a better defensive first baseman in the league than Riley Nelson, I'd like to see it. Colin Barcy has always hit above his station in terms of where they put him in the lineup. They would hit him 4 and 5, and everybody's going, wait a minute. He's hitting like an 8-hole hitter. He hit 2 home runs this weekend. Hit a big one last weekend. They've always thought he had some power. It is starting to come. Rustin Rigdon, when I tell my kid, watch how to play baseball, I tell him, watch this kid. He's a switch hitter. He almost never swings at a bad pitch. He makes great base running decisions. He can play a lot of places in the field. He's not in the running for freshman of the year conversation, but that kid is going to be hitting number 2 in an MLB lineup 10 years from now. Probably more like 6 or 7 years from now. Mike Mancini hit a home run for him this weekend. Hit 15 last year. That's number 2. And I think Ethan McIlvaine is their most talented arm, guys. He has been a complete non-factor all year. In fact, he's been worse than that. He was in their rotation to start the season, pitched really poorly, got kicked out, was in midweek situations of irrelevance all year until this last week. They trusted him in some big spots. He pretty much delivered. He is a hammer-throwing closer. On par with anybody's when it's right. And so I'm not saying that's how it's going to end. Connor Fennell, I'm a little concerned there because he wasn't as good this weekend. That's 2 weekends in a row. And Cody Bowker's been uneven. But some of those pieces that have been in the background are starting to step up for them.
I think you're muted, Joe.
To borrow a couple of immortal phrases from Dodgeball, I mean, as Pepper told us, switch hitters, often you got to pay double for that. And if you can dodge a hammer, you can dodge a ball. So Thank you, Patches O'Houlihan.
R.I.P.
I may just have to like mute Jay, and not out of purpose, but like I'm about to go somewhere next, and I got it all together up here, and then you go and do that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's why we have banners to remind us who's next. And I'll tell you who's next. It's Auburn, and of course, Jay Greason, you're going to lead on this one.
All right. When I was doing my rankings, I couldn't help, especially in the top half. I started because I'm a fat kid at heart. Had those really, I always wore roll-up jeans not because I was a Huck Finn fan, because I had to go. At 12, I had to go buy the grown-up adult pants because they only get around my big hips. Mom always said I was just big bone. Same thing about my big head. House is a big brain. But if you're looking at the top SEC teams as sandwiches, okay? I think Auburn is a BLT.
Okay,
BLT is a wonderful sandwich.
I wanted to be sure you said sandwiches. I wanted to be sure I heard you correctly.
But everything has to be perfect moving forward when the competition elevates for the BLT to be an enjoyable order when the entire buffet of sandwiches is in front of you. So if the tomato's not good, BLT suffers. I mean, Auburn is so reliant on Dutton, Irish, Rembert, and I mean, yeah, they're touching it and passing it back right now, and that's fun to watch. But it is it is sterile, but I can't say I like the taste, Patches. I think Auburn Auburn's got wonderful metrics. I think as long as they don't get swept this weekend in Oxford, they have booked a super regional host. It'll be a great atmosphere at what has become one of the sneaky best ballparks in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It will, and they'll sell it out, and it'll be no Oklahoma Dash Rip Rock. Oklahoma is not equivalent to a mayonnaise sandwich.
Look at West. Look at West.
Missouri is. Hey, I got sandwiches for all of them, boys. I've actually put a little thought into this. I just didn't remember it until we got to Auburn. So, like Tennessee's a Reuben, a perfectly done Reuben, when it's perfect, is as good a sandwich as you're going to find. But right now, Auburn's a BLT, and it's all contingent on everything working together.
Missouri is a PB&J. I think that's offensive to a PB&J.
I do too. PB&J is underrated.
Yeah,
I'm a grape jam or a strawberry jam guy on your PB&J? I'm strawberry.
Both.
Strawberry.
You can't go wrong with either.
I go with preserves.
Anything grape or strawberry, guys, I'm in. Like, sign me up.
Yeah. Moving on to the ham sandwich portion of the power rankings, we come to the Razorbacks.
Pun intended. Look at that.
All right, hey, not the ham sandwich.
No,
they're the French dip. You never go wrong ordering the French dip. You never ever go wrong ordering the French dip, and you're not going to go wrong more times than not picking Arkansas. That team is just really good.
Yeah, we got a lot of Hog fans in the chat today. I'm sure it's kind of been a frustrating 4-week stretch here. They won one of the last 4. This team is as talented as any team in the country. I wish I could put my finger on it and say this is what I think is going on. I think part of it is the schedule, and part of it is they're bringing certain guys back. Like Wood and Maxwell, they kind of got key pieces that have been banged up, and they're trying to figure out how they want to insert them back in. So I just kind of think it's a combination of stuff. Nothing really to make me sound the alarms or get really scared or nervous or anything like that. This is a team like the road to Omaha will go through Fayetteville. So I think, especially after this weekend, I know they got Tennessee. They're catching Tennessee at the right time. you close strong, and you got to feel really good heading into the conference tournament and postseason play.
Number 2, the Texas Longhorns, gentlemen, who were suddenly a little bit on the struggle bus, but boy, the body of work before that's good enough to keep them. I still think your number 1 team. It's an Arkansas, Texas, LSU discussion. You could argue any of them, and I would tell you, I'm not sure I could tell you were wrong. That's just where I stand for the record. My rankings were not what the consensus settled on, but I could defend any of them.
All right. If we're going to stay sandwiches, I think Texas is a great Cuban sandwich, but I'm wondering if Spencer, in his absence, is a great Cuban sandwich without the mustard.
What about if you sprinkle in Max Ballou in there?
Well, if he comes back, then. But this has not been a team built. They don't want to turn into a brawl fest like Georgia does. I mean, without Spencer, it's what we've talked about before. The hierarchy of pitching, especially among starters, if you take the guy off the one line, then you got to move everybody else up, which makes you worse at every other place.
Yep. I was going to ask you guys, who do you think they miss more, Spencer or Ballou? And that's not the same as who's the better player, by the way. I think those are different questions.
They were at the apex of their powers, and Ballou had been on the bench for a month.
Yeah.
They've started spiraling without Spencer.
I think that's my answer too, Jay, for that reason. I mean, they put Riojas in a station that's probably above his station. Like, he is fine as a multi-inning reliever. He's been great in that role. And he's good in the 3 spot, but you put him in the 1, and I kind of get why they did it, right? I do, right. But it's not worked lately.
And this is nothing. The lack of mustard that is Spencer is not anything anybody could do, because you could look around the league and you take Liam Doyle off Tennessee and it's crippling. You take Sam Dutton off of Auburn and it's crippling. I mean, you take Thompson from Vandy, you take Anderson from LSU. All of that is a domino of negativity that, I mean, anybody else hungry? I could really use a sandwich.
I am now.
You started this party. What do you guys think? Like, will Texas do something like Grayson Saunier, a guy that has starts in this league? He was supposed to be the Friday night guy at Ole Miss. Like, would they try that route? Like, putting him in the rotation at some point?
See, I don't know, but I think the question itself is kind of more valuable than the answer. And this is where I'm going with this, okay? Like, Cade Bean could start for them. Planier could probably open for them. Saunier's been a starter. You know, Cody Howard, I think, has pitched a lot of ball. Max Grubbs has been a starter. Like, I think they've got options in the, maybe not in the freezer, but in the fridge, that pitch some on weekends, but I think could take a higher station if they needed. And I don't know that a lot of teams have the number of them that Texas does.
That's why my answer was going to be Ballou. Like, who's more valuable? Just because, to me, they have more options pitching-wise than they do 1 through 9 in the lineup.
But is the difference between Ballou and whoever he's going to replace greater than what we've seen, the difference between Spencer and whoever's tried to fill that void?
Jay, I think that's spot on. I really do. I mean, Ballou is the best pro on the team, I think. I think that the scouts will tell you that too. I mean, based on what I've seen. They might have I don't know what Volantis projects as. That might be the exception, but among the guys that are going in the draft this year for sure. So,
And also the thing with Texas, like Jonah Williams, he's the definition of a wild card. I mean, if he gives them anything, which he certainly has a talent to, like that's another element for them.
Yeah, and Wes brought up a guy I didn't even bring up too, and that's Thomas Burns. See, and that's why I think it's changed the nature of what they're doing, and it's not working so far. But I do think they have some options that can be tried that haven't. And when you think about it like that, I'm a little less panicked about. I mean, I wasn't panicked about Texas. That's the wrong word. But
and before we move on to the shrimp po' boy of the group, Randy Etheridge made a really good point that the mental bump that Max coming back will bring for the postseason will resonate through that lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number one, LSU. And again, I think a lot of that's a pitching statement and a versatility statement. Cade Anderson's been back to closer to vintage Cade Anderson again. Nobody in the league has been better than Einson the last 2 weeks. And still say they got enough talent, with the rest of the roster, even the guys that aren't pitching well, deep bench. Like Texas, they got a lot of parts in reserve if stuff goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And, boys, what a 1-2-3 to go into any postseason series over the regional and super regional round with Anderson, Ianson, and Kaysen.
Yeah. And you got Cohen Cohen and Evans in your back pocket. So my thing with LSU, like Bear Jones is hitting around 250 in league play. Let's just say if he starts to get hot and starts to see the ball well, like that's another element. Like their offense could take a big jump. You see what I'm saying? That's a guy that's had a ton of success in this league.
Yeah. I mean, got some really mature hitters, some guys with experience. Milam, Dickinson, Jake Brown. I feel like Jake Brown is hit some of the longest home runs we've seen in college baseball this year. We haven't really talked about him a ton, but they've got some dudes with some serious pop that we don't talk about a lot. And that pitching, like when LSU's pitching is hitting on all cylinders, you just need a long ball or two, and that's it.
Yeah. And they have a head coach that's been there and done that. He's been in these battles.
Yeah. I'm going to go back and look, see how many times they have lost game ones and games two. Okay, they lost a game one to Auburn. That's a Sam Dutton situation. They lost a game one to Prager. That's, he was top arm in college baseball coming into the year. And they have won game two. 1, 2. Okay, they hit a stretch where they lost 2 out of 3, but they've been pretty good in game twos also. And if you win your first 2 games in whatever postseason format, and again, like Anderson and Einson can go a complete game, and you don't even need to get into your bullpen. They've both done it. I think maybe like if you want to separate, and again, I could debate, but I think that's a pretty good argument for LSU at 1.
How about the chat? Ben McDonald on the broadcast said this is the best LSU team since 2013 or 2015.
I mean, they're more balanced than the Skeens bunch. That was let's see what Skeens can give us, and then hope a Ty Floyd or somebody. I mean, and the lineup was good, right? But I remember the year before that lineup had holes, bottom part. He's right. This is a team that, like, it may not work out that way, but like you could see a William Schmidt or somebody like that step up their game too and really be a dude in postseason. They have a ton of pieces that can do that.
That's what's scary. Imagine if he was awesome, William Schmidt, all season long. That like if he was, like nobody would have a good chance to beat LSU in a 3-game series.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up. We've got bracket stuff coming tomorrow. We'll have predictions Thursday. Those won't be live. And we do live reactions Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night when the games are wrapping up. Hope you'll catch those. Members only stream We'll impact a lot of stuff Sunday nights. Become a member, $3 a month. Catch us there. For Graham Doty, Jay Greason, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks for watching our SEC Baseball Power Rankings here at Southeastern 16.